The term hijab means modesty, and in Islam modesty is quite important for both males and females. But the physical hijab refers to the cloth that I'm wearing on my head. The hijab is actually something which transcends the physical, so it's about the philosophical aspect of being modest and the metaphorical aspect of it as well.
My physical hijab, the scarf that I wear on my head and my loose clothing, etc., it represents my loyalty and my love for the religion that I follow, the religion of Islam. Lord Almighty in the Quran, verse 24, verse 30-31, has made it incumbent upon all the Muslim women to cover up and wear the hijab, both physical and both social and spiritual too. It's a form of liberation for the woman. It's totally out of their free will to wear hijab. It's not something that people have forced them to. It's their free will to follow their religion.
We trust, as Muslims, we trust and love our Lord. And when you trust someone, naturally you will want to obey them. And the example I can think of is your parents, when they ask you to do something, you don't question it, especially when you're young. You don't question it because you believe that they have your best interest at heart.
There are a very minority of cases where cultural norms have taken place, and for them hijab is something that it's compulsory, not for religion, just to wear it for the community, etc. Their reasonings behind it are wrong, and thus for them to force their children into wearing it is wrong as well. It should be something that comes from the heart, from the mind, and not something that is being forced into it because you'll eventually hate the religion. But it doesn't negate the fact that Islam has made it obligatory for women to wear hijab, and therefore, you know, it should be worn.
So I was brought up as a Muslim, but I wouldn't say religion was the main priority in my household. For example, my mum doesn't wear hijab, and there was never an onus on me to wear hijab, and I don't think anyone expected me to. Around the age of 13, 14, I started to get more involved with the local mosque, and I started to question myself, like, I'm a Muslim woman, I'm a Muslim female, but I don't wear hijab. I'm Muslim, aren't I supposed to be wearing hijab? And so I decided, well, there were like a number of factors which came into it, and one of them was, as a Shia Muslim, we commemorate the events of Karbala, which is a battle which happened 1400 years ago. We used to go and we would listen to stories of how the women in the camp, their physical hijabs were ripped off their heads, and it would get quite emotional, and we would all be crying, and people would be really upset, and then everyone would go home. Well, not everyone, but the people that I knew would go home, and we wouldn't wear hijab ourselves. So that used to be quite a big issue for me. It used to be quite something which made me confused. Why am I shedding tears about something which happened but not physically implementing it within my own life?
The more you expose your body, the less attention is given to your personality. As Imam Khamenei says, if women were to know how men perceived them when they looked at them, they would want to cover themselves in iron armor. So I think that's quite a powerful statement for women.
I think for me, like, I noticed a difference once I started wearing hijab in the way people reacted to me, both male and female. And I liked that difference. I liked the respect that I was able to command from wearing hijab. And it's not that if you're not wearing hijab, you shouldn't be respected. I think that's something which is perhaps a problem in our communities, that sometimes we see a woman, and it's a general thing in society. We see someone and we judge them by the way they dress. And that is, I suppose, what I'm doing. I'm embracing that. But I want to be in charge of my body.
I think the beauty of hijab is in its simplicity, that we don't need to worry about what the fashion says, what the fashion statements are, what you need to be wearing. You can kind of focus more on yourself and your own soul, and I think that's the beauty of hijab. You feel a sense of empowerment as well by wearing the hijab.
If they were to understand why we wear hijab, they would not say the things that they do it is a source of liberation. Like I said, you know, the West puts a lot of emphasis on free will and freedom of choice and not doing oppression. But what they're doing now and forcing people to not wear hijab or looking down upon them, defaming them for wearing hijab, I think that's a source of oppression rather than telling them to take it off. And it is our own choice. It's, you know, it's our right to wear hijab, and if we want to, then why take that away from us?
The general misconception about hijab is that it's equivalent to oppression, but the question is, what is oppression? I think that it's really illogical when people say that the best thing to do is ban the hijab or ban the niqab, as it has been done in France.
What I would like to say is, don't assume that I've been forced to put this on. Don't assume that I'm wearing this because a man has told me to. Please ask me questions. If you see me in the street, me being a hijabbed woman, ask me a question and speak to me. Or I am allowed to speak to you. And don't feel like we're some sort of like other race or other species. We are women underneath. We're people underneath.
My choice of wearing hijab is my own free will. It's not something that I was forced into doing, and it's one of the blessings that our religion has blessed us with, and I would not remove it if I was given all the treasures in the world.